Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got another crazy Reddit story to share with you. And while I'm playing some Minecraft in the background, I'll be reading it out for you. So sit back, relax, and let's get into it. So, I was about 10 or 11 years old when he first appeared. It was the middle of summer, and my friends and I were swimming in a lake on one of my parents' fields. I grew up in a small farming town with a population of no more than 200 people, so everyone knew each other. The town had two schools, one for boys and one for girls. I don't know why they separated them by gender. And, as far as I know, now they've already been merged. But back then it was just like that. I will tell it the way I remember it myself, although my friend remembers everything a little differently. So, my friends and I, there were 4 of us I think, were swimming in the lake at the edge of my parents' field. From my house it took about 15 minutes to walk there. We were playing there for some time when we heard someone call out to us. We turned around and saw a boy standing on the shore of the lake completely naked. When we noticed him, he shouted if he could play with us. He looked about the same age as us. Maybe a little older, but not much. He was very pale, almost white. I remember being struck by his bright green eyes and even a little jealous of them. He also had light, almost white hair down to his shoulders, like Draco Malfoy. We exchanged glances with my friends, said, "Yes." And he went into the lake with us. None of us knew him. And that was strange, because we had all lived in this tiny town our whole lives and knew literally everyone there. He introduced himself as Richard but said he preferred to be called Richie. That's what we did. I remember I asked Richie where he was from, but he always changed the subject and never answered directly. Anyway, after some more games in the lake, I invited Richie to my house for dinner. He immediately said he would be happy to come. And my friend remarked, "Don't you need to ask your mom first?" To which Richie replied something like, "Oh, she won't mind." Remember I said Richie was completely naked. Well, that didn't seem strange to me at the time. In fact, I'm almost sure we were all naked. We boys usually swam in the lake naked. So when he showed up like that, it didn't catch my eye. But what really did catch my eye was when we got out of the lake, dried off, and dressed, Richie didn't have any clothes. That seemed very strange to me, but he said something like, "Oh, I must have forgotten to bring clothes," which again was very strange. How could you forget clothes? I wasn't sure how my parents would react to me bringing home a naked boy, so I gave him my underwear and a shirt so he could wear at least something. But yes, that stood out as very unusual. My friends went home, and Richie and I went to my place. My father asked, "Where are his clothes?" I came up with something on the fly. I think I said his clothes got wet, and we left them to dry in the sun. I gave him pants. We sat down for dinner, and I remember he ate 3 or 4 portions. As I said, Richie was a very thin boy. I was small and skinny too back then, but he was even skinnier than me, so I didn't understand how he could eat so much. Richie was very polite and nice to everyone while he was with us. After dinner I took him to my room, and we started playing on my Nintendo 64. He had never seen it before and was completely thrilled. I thought he was surprised because the console was too old. After all, it was 2010, but my family was poor, and that's all I had. It started getting dark, and I asked him if he wanted to stay for a sleepover. He was very happy and said, "Yes." I checked with my parents, but I already knew they wouldn't mind. They were both very drunk. So we kept playing N64 late into the night. After a while I said it was time to sleep because I was tired, but he didn't look tired at all. Richie asked if he could take a shower because we had been running through the fields all day, and he was all dirty. While he was washing, I made the bed and put a movie on the TV to watch before sleep, then got into bed. About 5 minutes later Richie came out of the bathroom completely naked again. I asked, "You came from the bathroom like that?" He said yes and acted as if it was absolutely normal. I thought it was strange but didn't say anything. He lay down in my bed. I asked if he wanted pajamas, but he said it was too hot. Honestly, I remember that day was really hot. I put on a Scooby-Doo movie, and he was thrilled. He didn't know anything about it. It didn't seem too strange at the time, but looking back, I realize he didn't know anything about pop culture at all. We lived in a small town and were behind the times, but still we knew the basics. The next day I slept in pretty long, but when I woke up, Richie wasn't in my room. I asked my mom if she had seen him, and she said he had left early in the morning after his parents called our house. How they knew he was with us or what number to call, I still don't understand. Richie had taken some shorts from my room, because Mom said he couldn't leave naked. I was a little hurt that he left without saying goodbye and without leaving any way to contact him. But a couple of days later he showed up again when my friends and I were swimming in the lake. This time he had clothes, but as far as I remember, only underwear and a shirt without pants. Which again seemed strange to me. Over the next year we became very close. We were like brothers. During that year I asked him more than once if I could go to his house or meet his family. But every time I asked him something personal, he acted awkward and didn't want to talk or just changed the subject. I could see it upset him, so I didn't push. He only said that he was homeschooled. I thought that was cool then, because to me it meant no school. As I said, we became very close over that year. It felt like he was more than a friend to me. It's hard to explain, like soulmates. We bonded quickly, and I felt like I could tell him anything, and he would always support me. He helped me through hard times and definitely inspired me to be better. It seemed like he could sense when I was struggling. For example, when my grandmother died, I went out to the fields to cry because I didn't want to do it in front of my family. I sat down in some random place, and suddenly Richie appeared. He sat next to me and said a few words that really helped me then. When I asked how he found me, he said he was just walking around. And then after a while he just disappeared. It had been a little over a year since he first appeared at the lake. It was around September of the following year, so about a year and 2 or 3 months had passed. He never came again, didn't say goodbye, left no trace. I was terribly depressed. I missed him very, very much. I wandered the fields looking for him and sat by the lake where we first met, hoping he would show up again, but he never did. I still don't know what happened to him. I tried to look for him on social media, but without success. And since he had told me almost nothing about his life, I had no leads. I asked my parents what they remembered about him. They said they remembered him being strange and at first weren't sure if we should even be friends, especially because he liked to walk around naked whenever he wanted. But they also said that we were inseparable, and wherever I was, he was too. They remember how devastated I was when he stopped coming. They even thought about calling the police about his disappearance but never did. Although I really wish they had. Probably unlikely, but if you're reading this, Richie, get in touch with me. I would really love to talk to you again and get answers to all the strange questions about you. It's quite possible that there was nothing paranormal about Richie, but all of this definitely looked very strange. First update. I came to my parents for a couple of weeks and am going to search the house for any photos of Richie to share here. Although, considering I have 7 older brothers and a lot of family photos, I'm not sure I'll find anything else. Our local church will have a celebration for the end of the school year. As one of the commenters suggested, I'm going to the morning coffee where all the elderly residents of the village come. Even if I have to get up at 7 a.m., I'll be asking people if anyone remembers Richie. Tomorrow I'll update this thread if I find out anything. Thank you all for your help. Second update. Today I asked people at our church, but no one seemed to remember Richie. I began to lose hope, but apparently rumors spread around the village that I was looking for someone, because an elderly woman approached me, let's call her Sharon, whom I know but never really talked to. She said that she might know Richie's maternal aunt. She will try to find her contacts for me so I can reach out and find out if she has any information about Richie. Sharon said that if Richie really belonged to the family she was thinking of, then he lived in a cottage about an hour and 15 minutes walk from the village. A secluded cottage with no neighbors. Why they disappeared Sharon doesn't know, since she wasn't close with Richie's aunt. I hope this is good news and I really got one step closer to finding Richie again. I'll update this thread if there's any new information. I really hope this possible aunt is still alive and hasn't changed her contacts. Wish me luck. Third update. I contacted Richie's possible aunt. I'll shorten to PA, but unsuccessfully. I called several times the number Sharon gave me. No one answered, though I left a message explaining who I was. I also sent a first-class letter to the address Sharon gave. It should arrive tomorrow or the day after. I hope PA still lives at that address and I can get some answers. In the letter I also explained why I wanted to contact her and left my phone number in case it was easier for her to call than write back. I'll update the thread as soon as there's anything new. Oh yes, one more thing. I went to the cottage where Sharon said Richie might have lived. The cottage was abandoned and collapsed. It looked like he really could have lived there, but the atmosphere was really creepy. Fourth update. I got a response from PA, let's call her Jane. Someone advised me to check if her number was linked to any apps like WhatsApp. And it was, so I wrote to Jane there. It worked. She replied fairly quickly. After I described Richie to her, she fairly confidently said she really was his relative. And that's when everything went downhill. Jane hasn't had contact with Richie's family for many years, but she had the phone number of his older sister. I didn't even know he had brothers or sisters at all. Jane hinted that if I contacted Richie's sister, I wouldn't find what I was looking for. I fear the worst. It looks like something happened to Richie. Jane said the sister could tell me more, gave me her number, and ended the conversation. I am extremely anxious before writing to Richie's sister. Maybe this is the end of the search that took me so long, but I'm afraid it's not the end I dreamed of. I'll update the thread as soon as I learn more. Fifth update. First of all, I want to thank everyone who helped me through this process and helped me find closure in the story with my childhood friend. This journey was difficult. For years I searched for answers to where Richie is now. Unfortunately, the news is bad. Deep down I feared this outcome and maybe avoided searching so I wouldn't face such a result. With all of your help and many kind comments, I found Richie's distant relative, who connected me with his older sister. I didn't even know he had a sister. For clarity, let's call her Sarah. Sarah helped me understand his speech and his strange behavior, his reluctance to show me his house, and his disappearance. Sarah and Richie suffered abuse from their father. Their father struggled most of his adult life with severe mental illness and drug addiction. He was terrified of the outside world and kept his children in isolation. According to Sarah, their father was convinced the world was about to collapse, that the devil was going to take over his mind and body, and that Jesus told him, "The only way to save yourself and your family is to stay away from people." Sarah said that their father wasn't often physically violent, which maybe makes it a little easier. In childhood, Richie and his family often moved, never stayed long in one place, because the father feared the devil would find them. Sarah said most often they were moved in the middle of the night without any warning. She doesn't remember exactly when they were taken from my town. This explains why Richie appeared as if out of nowhere and after 15 months disappeared. Richie died at 15, about 2.5 years after he disappeared from my town. It was hard for Sarah to talk about details, and I didn't want to press, but it seems Richie did it himself. Sarah said he often talked about me and the time we spent together, and that all he wanted was to come back and find me. Unfortunately, he didn't succeed. She admitted she thought I was his imaginary friend. She doesn't know how Richie managed to sneak out of the house to meet me, but said their father could lock them in their rooms for days, sometimes weeks. Sarah said she still has Richie's journals, and I remember he sometimes wrote things down. She offered to send them to me, and that's incredibly touching of her. She said many entries were about me, our time together, his dreams to find me again so we could run away somewhere together. She thought all this time that I was imaginary. Hearing that was incredibly bittersweet. I'm looking forward to reading his journals, though I know it will be very hard. She said she was glad Richie still managed to leave a mark in someone's life. And I want people to know what a huge impact he had on mine. I want everyone to know Richie, to know what an amazing, kind, and beautiful person he was. This post is very hard to write. Deep down I know I avoided searching for Richie for so long out of fear of getting this result. Sarah told me much more, but I decided not to share everything to protect her privacy. She is safe now, far away from her father, and I am endlessly glad for that. Once again, I want to thank all of you who helped and supported me emotionally. Thank you so much. Richie, I love you. I'm sorry I couldn't help. I'm sorry I didn't notice the signs that you were in danger. I hope you can forgive me. You were the only true friend in my life, and it's incredibly hard to write these words. I feel sick thinking I didn't do more. Richie, know that you saved me many times in my life. In the darkest moments I was held by memories of you. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you the way you were there for me. I love you so much, Richie. Sixth update. I decided to share an update about how I'm doing now and how Sarah is. It still hurts to think about Richie, that I could and should have helped him but couldn't save him. It's very hard to remember the past. I have almost no friends. I suffer greatly from anxiety, and I just wish Richie was here with me. Sarah and I sometimes keep in touch, but not as often as I'd like. We met in person once, and it was great. I felt Richie's story touched many, and that's why I decided to share this. I'm ready to answer any questions if anyone has them. 7th update. My post received a lot of responses, and I tried to reply to as many comments as I can. I didn't think it would attract so much attention, especially since the previous updates weren't so long ago, so I'll answer a few of the most common questions right away. Yes, I am going to therapy now, started not long ago along with taking medication, because I've suffered from severe anxiety for a long time. At the moment I am waiting for Sarah's permission before posting any entries from Richie's journals. I believe the final word should be hers. Does she want this on the internet? No, I'm not writing a book about Richie. No, this isn't a book promotion. If anyone should write a book about Richie's life, it's Sarah. She doesn't want to share her story. She prefers to leave the past in the past. And honestly, I understand her. It breaks my heart to see so many people write that they knew their own Richie, or that they themselves were Richie. I understand that so many children even today remain unnoticed, live in harsh conditions, and endure abuse. And there's no one nearby who can help them. It hurts to think so many are no longer with us, though they could have been alive. I'm glad Richie was able to leave a mark in the hearts of so many people here. Sorry if I don't reply to some comments. There are a lot, and some are too hard for me to react to. You can tell me 1,000 times I shouldn't feel guilt, and I understand that with my mind, but it's very hard not to feel it. And it's very hard to hear that I did all I could when Richie is no longer here. Maybe it sounds like whining or ungratefulness. Actually, I'm grateful for all the love I've received from you. I'm just not entirely sure I deserve it. Well, this sad story has ended. Unfortunately, there were no more updates from the author. And moreover, he deleted these posts. Honestly, I was very moved by this story. Maybe you noticed. I think it's one of the most touching stories on our channel, because it's always very sad to lose your old good friends, and when you can never contact them again, it's doubly sad. Especially when you find out years later that this was his background. And yes, honestly, I would also feel some guilt. Why didn't I ask him? I should have insisted, somehow questioned him. I could have helped him. Yes, of course, it's very, very sad. And very sad that the parents didn't see these signals, that he was naked. Why? They could have pressured him somehow, found out what his problems were. But what am I saying? I probably wouldn't have shown the vigilance I should have either. Unfortunately, most people are often indifferent. And I repeat, I don't blame anyone for this, because I'm the same way. And what do you think? What would you have done in the author's place as a child? What would you have done in his parents' place? Write in the comments, it will be interesting to read. Well, thanks for listening to this story to the end. Watch our previous videos that you'll see right here. And be sure to subscribe to our channel if for some reason you still haven't. Good luck.